Hi, and welcome to another episode of Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist. I am your host, Dennis Richkovsky. Some of you will recognize me as the co-owner of Flip Flops Donuts in Emerald Isle, and some of you will know me as your broker of real estate who specializes in waterfront and waterview properties along the Crystal Coast, especially on Bogue Banks and in my town of Emerald Isle, North Carolina. On this channel, you will find essential information from the inside scoops on buying and selling houses to how to live with the ocean, rivers, and sounds that define the Crystal Coast. Today's episode examines the current status of the beaches in Emerald Isle, along with the rest of the Bogue Banks and the Crystal Coast. Whether you visit here occasionally or live here full time, getting to know what conditions Carteret County's most important economic engine is in is a story worth telling. Before I begin, please subscribe to my video channel now or at the end of this episode. Last Monday, at the monthly meeting of the Carteret County Beach Commission, Nicole Vanderbeck presented some good news about the county's key economic engine. A member of the county's beach engineering firm, Moffitt and Nickel, she said that Bogue Banks beaches are in good shape, nowhere near erosion levels that would trigger the need for beach nourishment. Her firm's opinion was based on a March survey of Bogue Banks, Shackelford Banks, and Bear Island beaches by Geodynamic of Newport. The survey is done every spring and provides a baseline so the county will know how much sand, if any, is lost during hurricanes that impact the Crystal Coast in the summer and fall. After a named major storm, such as Florence in 2018, another survey is typically commissioned, and the loss numbers can form the basis for a request for money from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA. This was the case in 2018 when Hurricane Florence devastated the Crystal Coast and eastern North Carolina. Survey data enabled Carteret County and the several Bogue Banks beach towns of Atlantic Beach, Pine Knoll Shores, Indian Beach, and Emerald Isle to request and receive funds from FEMA for beach nourishment projects that covered the entire 26-mile-long strand. The scale of this project was so enormous as Hurricane Florence removed about 3.6 million cubic yards of beach and sand. 3 nourishment projects, that's right, 3, added about 5 million cubic yards of sand over 3 winters from 2019 to 2021 and cost roughly $60 million, almost all of it from FEMA. That's how a big deal these annual surveys are, and that's how big a deal the good news is also. Vanderbeck told the Beach Commission that while erosion is a constant force, several conditions mitigated that erosion in 2022. And these conditions explain why Bogue Banks beaches are in such good condition as we head into the height of the hurricane season that begins late August, early September. The first is that the 2021 hurricane season only slightly impacted Bogue Banks and the Crystal Coast. What erosion there was came not from hurricanes, but from nor'easters and other storms that create big, strong waves during the winter and early spring. But because Bogue Banks is uniquely situated as the only Outer Banks island with south-facing beaches, its geography mitigated beach erosion from hard-hitting and long-lingering nor'easters. This same geography, south-facing beaches, has the potential to add sand to Bogue Banks beaches during the spring and summer. Usually around April, the prevailing winds shift from the northeast to the southwest. These southwest winds carry a lot of sand, and that sand is deposited on the beaches. For this reason, Vanderbeck said that there has been noticeable accretion, or the gradual buildup of sand on the beaches already this year since the survey was completed in March. And looking out my window at the beach in my backyard, I would agree. Vanderbeck says there were, as always, some erosion hotspots, places where more sand was lost on Bogue Banks between last year's survey and the March 2022 survey. Atlantic Beach always has a higher erosion rate than most of Bogue Banks, and this was the case again in 2022. That's one reason Atlantic Beach has for decades an agreement with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to get beach nourishment about every 3 years. Another hot spot is the eastern half of Emerald Isle along the numbered streets. Although Vanderbeck says that has been partially alleviated somewhat by a new nourishment strategy in that area during the last project there in 2020. The best news, she says, on the erosion front is that the survey showed that most of the sand lost in the past year is not far offshore, so it's still in the system and could return to the beach given proper conditions. In some cases, she noted, hurricanes result in accretion of the beaches. Elsewhere, Vanderbeck reported that erosion along Shackleford Banks across Beaufort Inlet from Atlantic Beach was following a long-term trend, and not a good trend. Erosion continues unabated with some erosion on the eastern half of the island, but major erosion along its western half. Some of that area is already underwater. Bear Island in Onslow County across Bogue Inlet from Emerald Isle also experienced erosion between the last survey and this year's, but also had some accretion on its eastern end. As for the Bogue Inlet itself, Vanderbeck said it continues to migrate east this year toward the beaches on the point of Emerald Isle. In 2005, when very expensive homes at the point were seriously threatened by erosion, Emerald Isle and the state of North Carolina paid $11.4 million to relocate Bogue Inlet Channel further from the rapidly eroding western tip of Bogue Banks. The project involved a dike that blocked the existing channel, so water would have to flow into the new channel that was dredged. The 710,000 cubic yards of dredged sand was piped to shore as nourishment for 4.5 miles of beach in western Emerald Isle. Experts at the time thought they might need to repeat this process in 15 years, which would have been in 2020. That wasn't the case, so the move has outlived expectations. But Vanderbeck told commissioners that the migrating inlet has moved far enough east in recent years that it might soon be time to at least start the conversation about relocating it again. Finally, Vanderbeck also observed that the dunes along Bogue Banks beaches, that last line of defense for oceanfront homes and businesses during storms, are in good shape, as is most of the vegetation planted on these dunes after the 2019, 20, and 21 nourishment projects. Because these dunes hold such significance, beach commissioners suggested that the 2023 geodynamic survey include a more detailed look at the volume and location of these dunes. To learn more about the status and health of the beaches on Bogue Banks and along the Crystal Coast, please subscribe to my newsletter by texting your email address to 919-308-2292. Or sign up for my blog on my website, www.eihomesforsale.com, and subscribe to Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist on YouTube at the end of this video. Stay well and stay safe. So come on down. Please subscribe to my video channel now and definitely return next week to the same bat channel at the same bat time of 9 a.m. on Thursday for another episode of Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist.